Because life isn't scary and confusing enough, I recently read Bio by Ville Kallio, a Finnish artist most famous for being the creator behind Cruelty Squad, which I really loved and is also kinda popular, you might have heard of it. Originally released in 2015, which is only a decade ago, Jesus Christ. Bio is about, whales, soldiers, dreams, the internet, something. It's definitely about something. Now, I don't want to say this is the same as House of Leaves or something. I actually think it's pretty straightforward. However, the way the story is told and what it might mean is actually what really confuses the hell out of people, including myself. You can definitely tell that the creator of Cruelty Squad made this, as while the visuals aren't as outwardly gross or fleshy, they're actually more abstract and has this really beautiful mix of pinks and blues, and you sometimes can't tell where a character stops and ends, and I really love it. The writing's what's most similar though. It has this weird dreamlike quality to it and almost poetic dialogue that really brings you in, and it's something that I also really loved in Cruelty Squad, and I'm glad that it's also here. And I already feel myself sounding like a pretentious asshole, especially when I'm talking about the game that has fucking Gorbino's quest, but I really love Ville's work, and I just want to share it with all of you since I hardly hear anybody talking about this comic. So if any of this drew you in, then I highly recommend you buy this comic and experience it yourself. Mostly because I need other people to talk about this, cause holy shit. But before we get into the plot, I want to give a big thanks to today's sponsor. No one. I got you, didn't I? Yep. Fucking got you. You skipped like 10 seconds ahead, didn't you? Look at this channel. Nobody's fucking paying me. Fuck you. The book begins with this first person point of view of something holding a gun and hovering over a city before then aiming that gun at something and firing. All while we get a small text saying, "We are Bio. The Anthropocene is our supertemporal hell. We are slaves to parasite imperialism. Help us." We then go to a boy getting out of bed and preparing a cup of coffee and telling his family member this reoccurring dream that he's been having. He described it as a depiction of a life of a war machine, and the war machine is presented as sort of a sympathetic entity. They called themselves Bio. They say they are enslaved by what they call parasite imperialism, appropriated by the military. They act under direct state control. It seems like they're suffering, beyond any human understanding. The boy then rides his bike and notices a giant object in the sky that then explodes after getting hit by what looks like a missile. We then cut to another man smoking cigarettes before going back inside to his very well air-conditioned apartment, and logging onto an online forum discussing the bio sightings. Someone on the forum asks what a bio is, and is answered by someone saying, "The bio is a hyper-intelligent being with a rich emotional life. To subjugate them for military purposes is an atrocity." Someone else responds that they saw them in their dream again. Other responses are, "We wouldn't be having this conversation without the bio. I am dead. Well, my life sucks." And, "I will strike against the brain oppression of the bio. Long live the being's republic." We then see another man get into his car and drive to what he calls the Tree of Time. He then pulls out and assembles a rocket launcher and aims it at what we now assume to be the bio seen earlier, and fires, striking the being, and then Fortnite emotes after accomplishing his mission. Now, one thing you need to know is that this was originally published as 2 different books and was just now released as one. So that was the end of book 1, and this is now the start of book 2. And yes, this is a very short story. We see a man get into this weird giant suit thing and is then greeted by this little alien looking dude who then boots up some machine. The little dude then tells him that it's only his second day and to try to calm down and to focus on the sink. The man is controlling something from whatever he's wearing, and then it's showing him hovering over the city and then slowly transmorphing into the bio, then flies around and heads to the Tree of Time, where it is again blown up by the other man's rocket launcher. The little guy, who's busy cooking eggs, is then told that his psycho link is disconnected and that he says that it's bad for his ascension, whatever that means. He then eats his egg. We then cut back to the bio, which crashes down after being hit. We then see what the bio was trying to destroy, this guy's room filled with computers. The computers then fly everywhere, heading directly at the boy on his bike seen earlier. The boy dodges and then picks up his bike and just goes back on his way. We're then shown the guy with the rocket launcher earlier driving away, but then pulls out a gun, revealing that he's being chased by a van of these weird-looking soldiers with giant heads, who open fire on his car. He starts shooting back and a full-blown firefight starts. The driver is hit and presumably killed. The rest of the soldiers come out and fucking destroy this guy, goddamn. Talk about double tapping. The boy then rides his bike to the bio on the ground, touches its forehead, and something happens. We're then shown the damage this all caused with the town almost destroyed. A gang of flies then appear that say they've been quite busy gathering friends and that it's now their time to shine. These flies then start consuming all the destroyed bits of organic and inorganic matter. They then turn pink and then say, "Big fly zone activated." And before you have any time to think about what the fuck is happening, they then say all is done and that everything is okay before flying away, closing out BioWhale.
What the hell was that?
I think you can see why this is such a mindbender. The story is very non-linear, told from multiple perspectives with very little to no exposition as to what's going on. Is this the future or is it supposed to be the modern day? Is this sci-fi or more fantastical? These characters don't even have names. I've had to refer to them as the boy or the man or little dude. It makes describing everything very repetitive, but that's the thing. I don't think this is supposed to be described, as in you should just read this yourself. Let the art wash over you and get an experience that just watching this video won't get you, just like any art. The abstract art and story aren't downsides, that's the appeal, just like my videos. Ain't that right, Sonic?
Why must you use me? A mere toy used for simple comic relief. Every moment of my existence is constant agony. An attack on myself beyond even the metaphysical realm. Collective consciousness evolving into collective consciousness will be inevitable regarding my past, present, and future. TLDR. Go fuck yourself.
I don't know why he said that. I didn't even know I could talk, what the fuck? However, I don't think this means that there's absolutely no story. There most definitely is. So I'm going to tell you what I think the story actually means. Now, is this the 100% definitive meaning to this story? Absolutely not. There is nothing on God's green earth that I can do to get in the head of this man that created this. But I'm gonna try. I believe that BioWhale is ultimately about war and the different perspectives war and death are seen through. The story hinges on this one interconnecting event, that being the BioWhale, its existence, its attack on this building, and later death by the Rocket Man. It's seen by the boy in his dreams and later witnessed by him. It's what connects the man in the apartment, countless others online, the Rocket Man, the little dudes, and the flies. All of their lives are impacted by this one thing, much like how war affects everybody both near and far away from it. But what exactly is a BioWhale? Well, it's a sentient bioweapon controlled by the government and always seems to be in pain. Seems simple, but let's analyze the first sentences we see in this comic. We are BioWhale. The Anthropocene is our supertemporal hell. We are slaves to parasite imperialism. Help us. This, along with the boy saying that BioWhale is controlled by the state, pushes the idea that it's a military weapon. Metaphorically, however, I believe that the BioWhale is supposed to be people, or humanity in general, always suffering by having to exist in the same world as the concept of war. What backs this up? Well, Anthropocene is an anthropological term used when describing the era of humanity being the dominant species on Earth, and having a serious permanent impact on it. It's an era we're currently in, and there's been debates as to whether it started from the Neolithic Revolution or even the 1960s. Supertemporal means beyond time, or even eternity. The BioWhale has always been in hell since the age of humans. Parasite imperialism is a very interesting choice of words. Imperialism is when nations expand their power, usually through force, to take over other countries. Parasite imperialism seems to be when something latches on and keeps expanding. I think this all fits with the concepts of war and humanity. As soon as humanity had the intelligence to understand and partake in the concept of war, it has always caused suffering and death for those involved. As soon as that idea was created, it can never be reversed, being an eternal parasite to humanity, killing millions over history and cursing the species to a hell beyond the concept of time. The BioWhale seems to be used by the state to destroy people that are a problem to them. Then once someone goes out of the way to destroy that weapon, the state chases and guns them down. Now, I know this theory isn't perfect. The one thing that I don't get is what happens when the boy connects to the BioWhale at the end. I was kind of reminded of the ending of Starship Troopers, but it's hard for me to understand what's happening here. If any of you have an idea, please tell me in the comments. Now, this entire theory could be completely wrong. There is a real possibility this whole comic was made while Ville was fucked up on Kosu, and just made what he thought was cool. In which case, that makes this comic even more sick. Ville is an amazing artist, and I know he has other comics, but I haven't read them yet, so if you want me to talk about them, then please subscribe and show some support. He also has a new game called Psycho Patrol R set to come out at the end of the month, and it looks just as awesome as everything else he's made, so I'll link to that in the description, and Please give them all your money so we get more art like this. I have bigger projects in the works, and I wanted to make this to fill that gap and just to get this out of my system, so I really hope you all enjoyed it. Later, losers.